Hey yo everybody, welcome back to Tavian's World of Reptiles. I hope you are all doing well and taking care of yourselves. Today I am hanging out with Rafiki, my blood python. As you can see, he looks gorgeous. Isn't he just so lovely? So, I was hanging out with him and I was thinking about our rough start in the beginning because he was definitely a very defensive snake. But we've come a long way since then, haven't we? Yes, we have. And I was thinking about the video I did a while back about flooding our reptiles. And I touched on something called positive habituation in that video, but I didn't really go too much into it. And so today I wanted to talk a little bit more about what that means, and in general, and as far as our animals go. What exactly is habituation? So habituation is essentially having a lessened response to certain stimulus after being exposed to it for long periods of time. So for example, if you are sat in a room, okay, where there is a beeping noise, you might be super hyper aware of that beeping noise in the beginning, but after a while, it starts just becoming background noise that you don't recognize. Like you don't even hear it anymore. It's just noise that's there and you really just don't even hear the beeping anymore because now it's just become a habit to hear it and you're no longer affected by it. So your response to it is less than when you first got into the room. If that makes any sense whatsoever. I believe that habituation is also probably one of the most common ways of learning that we as humans use to learn when we use it daily, all the way from things as simple as language. A child growing up in a Spanish speaking household, of course, is going to hear Spanish, learn Spanish, register it as a regular part of their being, and now they are a Spanish speaking individual, as opposed to somebody who grows up maybe in a Chinese household who now has to speak that particular language because that is what they hear, it is what they become accustomed to, it is what they learn. And the same goes for myself. I grew up in an English speaking household. It is what I learned, it is what I grew accustomed to. It is now what I speak. It is a part of who I am. So we grow and we learn through habituation. A lot of our personalities come from habituation. If you ever been hanging out with a group of friends, and they use certain dialogues, certain words, and after a while you quickly find yourself using some of the same words, some of the same dialogues as those individuals that you hang out with. It's just a natural part of being. We hear something regularly, we hear something commonly enough, and all of a sudden it's just the way that we are also speaking. It's the same language that we are also using, the same words, even so much down as body movement. You'll see kids imitating their parents' movements, and we learn those things. We learn to make our bed every morning, or to cross the street is a pretty big one. When we're kids, we become hyper aware of that because we're constantly being told, look both ways, check both ways before you cross the street. As adults, we don't even consciously think about it anymore. We just do it. It's just a natural thing that we do because we've had it put into our heads repeatedly that we check both ways before we cross the street so that we're safe. And our animals are really no different. They learn through habituation as well. So if you got a snake that is, kind of defensive and is not really trusting of humans, and you go in there and you stress that snake out more by forcefully grabbing it, handling it all roughly, making it just more stressed out, over time it just goes to learn that you are a source of stress. You as a human being are going to come and bring stress, and it's never going to be comfortable with you. Even if it settles and stops fighting, stops biting, it'll never be truly comfortable with you because it's now just in a constant state of stress, because if it doesn't cooperate, you're going to rough handle it. And they learn based on their interactions with us. So if all you have is a stressful interaction with your snake, then that is all they're ever going to know you to be, is a sign of stress. And so if you have a snake that is not really trustworthy, it's really defensive when you first go in there, try not to force yourself on your snakes. You want to just sit in its presence, let it know that you're not there to harm it, you're not there to stress it out, you're not going to touch it if it doesn't want to be touched. With some time, it'll learn that, okay, you're not so bad, you're there, but you're not so bad. Oh, okay, you bring water, you're not so bad. Oh, okay, you bring food, you're not so bad. Okay. Oh, when you're here, that means you're going to open that door, and that means I get to come out and roam a little bit. Oh, you're really not so bad. So what you got now is you've got positive habituation, because your presence for your animal is a good thing. They know that you being there, you opening their doors, means positive things. Even if it is feeding, even if they have a strong feeding response, and their interaction with you when you open is always on the basis of feeding, that itself is still positive, because that means that it recognizes you not so much as a danger, but as a source of food. And of course, that's something to be worked with. But even feeding responses are positive interactions, because they know you as a source of food as well, and as a source of potentially coming out to roam, or good handling. If you work towards that with your snake, if you want your snake to be comfortable with handling, with time, if you do it slowly and if you do it safely, and you do it with as little stress as possible, your snakes can have really positive interactions with you, because you had positive habituation when you're working with them. It's something we do on a daily basis. We repeatedly get exposed to things, and we adjust ourselves to them without even trying. Like I said, with language, hanging out with people, and taking on certain words and dialogues that are used, all the way down to the things that we eat. Some people might eat spicy things in one culture, while another culture does not have those spices. And so for that culture, the spices are no big deal, but for this other culture, those spices could be a lot. And that's just because that's what they grew up eating. It's what they do. And it's the same thing with everything. It's just how we learn and grow and adapt into this world. And if you give your snakes a positive interactions at all times, and you make sure that they know that you are there for good things, then you will always have a pretty chill and relaxed interaction with your snakes, and you really shouldn't have any problems. So I really hope that I just shined a little bit more light on what I meant by having positive habituation with your snakes, and making sure that it is always just a pleasant, calm, and relaxed experience for you and them, because nobody wants to be stressed out, and you don't want your snake thinking every time you come around you're going to be some source of stress for them. You're going to handle them roughly, they're going to be unhappy, they're going to be miserable, and they're just going to have to deal with it. Because eventually, even with negative handling, they do just settle, and they can just like get used to it and settle for that terrible treatment, and which makes them untrustworthy as well. Because if you're if you're a person who's constantly being bullied and picked on, it's only a matter of time before you snap, and it's only a matter of time before that snake would snap, right? And it's not going to tolerate that handling too long, and before you know it, when you think, oh, I've tamed it down by forcing it to be handled, you go in there to grab that snake like you always do, and then next thing you know, your snake wheels back around and gets you because it has had enough. So anyway, just try to keep things positive with your snakes, or your reptiles in general, whether that be, a lizard or a snake or a frog. It's not a reptile, but still, any animal that you have, keep it positive. Keep things positive so that your relationship can stay positive, and they can see you as a source of good and not a source of stress. So I'm not going to keep going. You guys take care. Love yourselves. Love your reptiles. Love your loved ones. And you guys keep spreading those herbs.